Hi, my name is Avery Barnett. I'm a fourth year PhD student in the School of Public and International Affairs at Princeton University. I think my entire upbringing is why I'm interested in the environment and climate change on a whole. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, which, Jamaica is an island, and therefore all of the climate change impacts affect us very immediately. And growing up impacted by hurricanes, heavy flooding, rolling blackouts, or just frequent electricity cuts. And I think all of that has shaped my journey to where I am today. It's very disheartening for me when I go home and see that the beaches that I used to play growing up, they're no longer due to rising sea levels or more frequent landslides due to deforestation and other human impact activities. And so I just really want to make a difference, not only to Jamaica, but hopefully to the wider Caribbean through my work. So one of my projects that I'm currently working on is developing an extreme hazard model to assess the electricity grid resilience, specifically under hurricanes. It's an ongoing project, but I believe that the impacts that will come as a result will assist in future grid planning to ensure a just energy transition, as well as ensure that the renewable energy technologies that we want to implement into our societies are robustly resilient to these hazards that are going to be either more frequent or more intense in the future. And so although this project is not yet completed, I foresee that the impacts will be immensely useful. So the model would be intended to be used by more like utility companies or even the government to assist in their electricity grid planning for the future. Yeah, I don't think the common person would be able to use the model, unfortunately, due to how technical it is. But that is something I could look into, to be honest. So I think academic institutions and academics on a whole play a very unique role in the, call it the climate activist work. We're not very, we're not really in the spotlight, or many of us aren't really in the spotlight. There are a few professors who are definitely out there, are very well known. However, that's not the vast majority. Places like Princeton, other universities, other similar research institutions are able to mobilize their resources and do impactful work. However, at the same time, that's up to the universities to want to do that, unfortunately. Everyone wants to see, where's the data, where's the data, where's the data? And I think that's where these research institutions can come in and provide the data using their vast resources that we have access to. Unfortunately, how things are set up now, I think, is a bit limiting. A lot of times, professors are limited, their research is limited based on the grants that they receive, and that's a function of what are the funding agencies interested in, who is asking for these grants, what are their interests, and that's just something that we can't, at least I can't control. Thankfully, I'm not in a program where I'm limited by where I'm being funded from in the terms of the research that I do. However, I believe that that's something that would have to change for the future in order for more ideas, more innovation, and more information to get out there. In high school, my main goal was not to do environmental work. Growing up in Jamaica, you're told that, doctor, lawyer, engineer. And so I intended to be a medical doctor. I was like, all right, cool, I'm good at STEM, I can do science. Closer to graduation, I realized that I actually really disliked biology. And so I was like, I could tough it out, but that wouldn't be great in the long term. So then I switched. I was like, okay, maybe not straight med, so I'll just do biomedical engineering, you see. Not doctor, so I'll be an engineer. But then I realized, I would still have to do biology, and I really didn't want to do biology. So in undergrad, I ended up doing a physics major, intending to do more mechanical engineering work. I always liked renewable energy. I, could read about it forever. I did a summer camp in high school where we were able to we had to build the turbines for a wind turbine, and with the angles, the airfoil, whatever you want to call it, and test if it worked. And I think that really sparked the path that I'm on today. I tried to convince myself otherwise to be a doctor, but clearly that didn't work out. So I did my physics major, and then in my junior year I did an internship in Barbados where I worked at the utility company, and I was able to look at how the company works in different ways. So I was in transmission and distribution, I was in generation, I was in asset management, and I worked with the people who deploy like community-based microgrid, solar, rooftop solar, etc. And that experience made me realize two things. One, I don't care how things are made, and two, there is just a big gap between the technocrats and the policymakers, at least in this small island. And I was like, the island is so small. There's not even 1 million people on this island. Why aren't they talking to each other? And so from there, I think my trajectory kind of changed from a very STEM heavy future plan focus to more of a how can I bridge the gap between science and the technology, but also like policy and making like tangible impact to the people who would be impacted by the renewable energy. And so that's kind of how I'm here today. Princeton was just one of the programs. This is a public affairs program that I'm in currently, and it's just a matter of looking for who's doing the things that I want to do versus what's the name of the program. And that's kind of how I came from physics to now I'm a policy student with absolutely no policy background in my undergrad. No matter how small you think your voice is, your voice matters, and it can be impactful. You just have to just go out there and talk to people, and you never know who you'll impact just by talking to them. Don't always look in the obvious places to make the change that you're trying to do. Sometimes you have to seek institutions that you never would think would be involved in climate change, but on the low, everyone has a stake in this fight, and everyone is doing some type of work for the most part. Don't always look for the obvious.